Our next performers are the Sila Singers, a throat-singing duo made up of two Inuit women, Jenna Broomfield and Malaya Bishop. Yeah, sure. Sit there. Yeah. They're originally from the Arctic regions of Nunatsiavut. Damn it. Okay, thank you. Almost as bad as my Irish. and Nunavut, respectively. They are part of what Alicia Elliott has called a grand renaissance of Indigenous cultural forms and practices that have dramatically transformed the cultural landscape in recent years in Canada. Their art brings katajjaq, a social game, into the realm of art and invites consideration of the voice, the laugh, the growl, and the bond that holds them all together. Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles got into trouble with the nervous Canadian media when they laughed during a spectacular performance of throat singing in Iqaluit. But practitioners were quick to point out that laughter is an essential part of the game and the art. I am thrilled that the Sila Singers were able to come to the conference, and I know that everybody is desperate for me to get off the stage. Please welcome the Sila Singers.
Okay, so good evening. My name is Malaya.
I'm Jenna.
And we are the Sila Singers. So Sila actually has a lot of different meanings in our language, in Inuktitut. And we chose the name Sila to represent the wind and the elements.
We also want to say thank you so much for the performance and the sharing right before. I don't know how in the heck we're supposed to follow that. That was absolutely amazing. It was blowing my mind the whole way through. What I thought was really interesting is actually how connected these two pieces will be in regards to transmission and communication, as well through sound and through language. So it's really beautiful actually that you guys will have a chance to see both of those things one right after another. Our throat singing is really important to us. It's something that we're really proud to share with you all, and we'd like to share a little bit more about it to explain to you what it is you're going to be listening to.
So who here has heard throat singing live? Oh, wow.
Wonderful.
Awesome. So a lot of you probably already know what it's about. For those that don't, it's a friendly competition in our culture, and it was traditionally between two women who would face one another and hold arms.
It's a really beautiful way of us sharing stories within our community. It's something that we worked really hard to continue in our communities. Different types of transmission could be forms in some Indigenous communities, such as blood memory. It's also something where we share our oral histories and our traditions through sound and through stories and through music. It's something that came before anything was written down on paper and continues on today just as strong, and is something that we rely on very heavily to transmit between generations.
That song wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for our grandmothers and our aunts who carried our throat singing forward.
That song wouldn't be something that we could share, but for our language. That song has words within it that are really important to our traditional language, which is called Inuktitut. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our community, just so that you are a little bit, as noted by Gregory, there are a whole group of Indigenous peoples who are here at the event. We have 3 groups of Indigenous peoples recognized within Canada. There are Inuit, who are the northern peoples. We are circumpolar. Then we have First Nations, who have many nations within there, as well as the Métis. And so we represent, right now today, parts of our culture.
So Qimiraluapi was the song that we just sang, and it's about a little puppy. And that was a really special song for me. I learned it. It was my first song that I learned when I was 5 years old. And I learned through school, through an integrative program where we have community members that come to school and teach children Inuit culture in Nunavut. It was a little bit different because of the colonial impacts and the differences that we had in our communities. Jenna had a little bit of a different way of learning.
Yeah, so Malaya was really lucky that she got a chance to learn from some of her elders in her community. In fact, I think the elder you learned from had the same name as you, Malaya, which is really nice.
Especially why I wanted to learn was because she had the same name as me.
Naming conventions in some of our communities are extremely important. In my community, I was about 14 years old when I learned. Again, very different from Malaya. I come from Nunatsiavut, which is also the traditional territory of our region in Newfoundland and Labrador. And so we were some of the first colonized peoples over in the east. And so it took a very long time for that colonization process to work its way through the generations. Our people held on very strongly to our language and to our culture as much as they possibly could. But it came to a point where my generation were the ones who were not learning the language as much. My grandparents spoke. My grandma had 18 children, and she never taught her children as a way of protecting them. And so I had to rely on communities like Malaya's. We had to actually reach out to further communities to help us relearn and to hold on to some of those traditions. So it was really beautiful because, as you know, our community is circumpolar and we have a lot of people to reach out to. Okay.
That was called competition.
Herein lays the competition.
So that one is really fun because with throat singing, there's a leader and a follower. So generally, for performances, I lead.
And I usually follow the songs. Now, I don't like to use the term follower for myself, so I'm going to explain a little bit further. Generally speaking, the person who's leading the song is very much a creative. They're a person who starts out with a set of sounds that they want to begin with. They're the ones who create the melody, create the tempo. They're the ones kind of in charge of the song. So Malaya, being an artist, and Malaya being so creative, she's also a vocalist, is so wonderful when she leads. The follower, generally speaking, is the person who has to react to those sounds about a half a second later. And as I've been told, I'm a very reactive person. So it works out really well in our partnership. So in that competition, I messed up because Malaya tripped me up with a sound that she threw in, and I couldn't see it.
She earlier when we were practicing, she said, "Throw whatever you want. You can
I can do it.
I can do it. I can do it." And clearly,
The microphone was in the way. The microphone was in the way.
do you want to try again?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Oh, my mouth is a little dry now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, her mouth is dry, guys.
Okay. I think I got that. Yeah.
It's all in fun. It's all in fun. Malaya tends to trip me up. She's really fast, actually, which is really impressive.
But I could never be as quick as she is as following people, because I would never know what that other person's gonna throw in front of me.
It's tricky. It's tricky. But you know what? Everybody has a tell. This is what's really fun, is when you have a partnership, you actually get to learn their little bits and pieces. Malaya has this really beautiful dimple on her cheek. And when that thing starts to come out, I'm like, here it comes. Here's the bump. I know. I also have a secondary tell when Malaya knows I'm about to lose because my eye starts to water really bad.
So she was saying I go really fast, and I know I go really fast because that's why she cries, because she can't. She's gasping for air.
I would rather faint than lose.
So again, with throat singing, it's not conventional singing because we are breathing while we're singing at the same time. There's no breaths in between your singing. We're just breathing through it all.
Yeah.
So.
And what's really nice about it that people don't really tend to know about throat singing before they hear about it is that it's actually a really beautiful way of creating community. It's a great way of building community between one another. Malaya and I actually hadn't known each other years and years ago until we actually throat sang together for the first time. I was actually at work. Malaya came and she was doing a public performance, and they found out I throat sang and that she throat sang, and everybody pushed us together, and now we're a pair for the last 6 years? Yeah.
8 years?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
8 years. 8 years around this time. Yeah.
We don't know exactly our anniversary date, but... So it's really nice because, when another throat singer meets another throat singer in a crowd, immediately we have this beautiful connection that we've created, and it's the same thing that's been this way for generations and generations and generations. That being said, some of the songs that we shared with you are some of our traditional songs, but it is also something that is very dynamic and very complex and continues on in our communities today. So our narratives from our generations are ones that we like to create as well in our songs.
So because of the people who brought back throat singing, not necessarily brought back, but throat singing was just kept quiet. Mm-hmm. It was considered demonic to a lot of colonizers and especially to missionaries. So we weren't allowed to sing it publicly in front of people who would shame us or, make it seem like it's really bad to do and awful. So a lot of people felt a lot of shame when it came to throat singing. Thankfully, it wasn't completely wiped out. It was just kept quiet and shared when the oppressors weren't around.
Yeah, it was something that was held in resistance by our community members, by our women, going through the residential school eras that our communities went through. It was something that was very, very much important, and it wasn't something that could necessarily be recorded on paper, so it was something that had to live in our memories and had to live in our mouths and had to live through our children and generations. So we're really lucky to be able to perform throat singing in front of you.
So for me personally, it skipped my mother's generation. So it was from my grandmother's generation who brought it back into my community. So one really special thing that we got to do a couple years ago was teach it to my mom and her friends. So, yeah.
That was really special.
Yeah. So we're going to go into another song about little beings. And we know that Ireland has some folklore as well about some little beings. And we actually looked up on Wikipedia. There's
tons of different indigenous communities and First Peoples who have stories about little beings, no matter where they come from. So they're around. We know they're around. I personally have never seen one before. We've always just caught glimpses or heard stories, and you tend to see things like little piles of shiny things, and you know where they stay along the shores or near the trees. And it's really nice because Malaya and I were talking about it one day, and we heard different stories from our different regions because although we come from the same community, we have a lot of diversity in our community. So we were kind of surprised to hear the similarities in our stories about little people. And so we devised a song that we thought would be essentially what we imagine a conversation between them to be like.
This one requires water. So that's a song that we created called Little People, and we've been creating quite a few new songs. And another song that we recently created was inspired by an author named Minnie Freeman, Outlaw Freeman, I should say. And do you want to talk a little bit more about Minnie?
She's an elder in our community. In fact, in particular, she's an elder in our southern community. We have a group called Inuit Edmonton in Edmonton, and she's been a really wonderful connect to us. And obviously, we have a lot of people who are involved in literature and are authors, and so this is a really great way of us celebrating an elder in our community as well as an author in our community. Malaya actually was the one who was the creative brain behind this one. It's around dog commands. And when did you read that story?
So a couple years ago, I just actually finished my undergraduate degree as of yesterday. So last year I was in an Aboriginal writing class where we read books from different authors that you probably will be familiar with. The class was taught by Kiwi Martin, and one of the books that we read was Minnie Outlaw Freeman's book of Life Among the Chalunat. So she it's a memoir of her her living through post-colonialism, through it, and then into moving into a big city and living and working for the Department of Indian Affairs / whatever they were always all the names they went through.
Yeah, it was really great. And in case you're unfamiliar with the term kaluna, it means white people. So like the Southerners she was specifically referencing, and her experience in moving away from the North.
So this is called dog command because she, in her book, she talked about the dog commands her grandfather used when they were traveling with the dog team.
Ooh, that one's tricky. Let's do it slowly. We got through that one.
What do we want to end with? Mosquito? Okay.
Whew, that one was a tricky one.
So we've only been in Ireland for about 4 hours now. So we're really not sure. We heard it rains a lot, that you have a lot of greenery because of all the rain. But we weren't sure what kind of little critters you have around here.
Are there a lot of critters? Yes? No?
Not too many?
Okay.
Okay.
And how many here have been to Canada before? Anybody?
Well, all the Canadians.
All right,
okay.
all right.
So it's
And
so it's springtime now, and these critters are gonna come out soon.
yeah, July, August, you don't want to go fishing around them? Yeah. See if you guys can identify the critter. Anybody take a guess what those little critters are? Yeah.
All right, so that's the end of our portion for the night. So thank you very much.
Nakkumik. Nakkumingai to all of the Irish who have allowed us to be here on your lands. We really appreciate it. We thank you for the welcome and for such a warm, open hearts to listen to our presentation. We hope that the rest of the week or the weekend goes really beautifully. We're really looking forward to hearing from all the others. Nakkumik.